Morning, y'all. My name's Sky Moss. I live in upstate New York. I teach history at Corning Community College. And I wanted to reflect and kick it a little bit on Juneteenth today. Firstly, I wanted to speak to all the young folks who are leading this movement of change that has had me crying, humbled me, motivated me, reminded me of the possibility of America. You know, the potentiality of the idea that is America. And so I applaud y'all. And like Dave said, like Chappelle said, if you watch his recent joint, we're comfortable being in the back seat, right? You guys are driving this, you whipping this, you baby driving this, and we are fine being in the back seat. But I want to reflect a little bit on Juneteenth because I suspect, and I've seen, it'll get more attention this year than it ever has. You know, it's kind of like a summer Kwanzaa for folks who dip their toe into black ideas. I'm real and I digress, but let me drop in. So in 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation was passed. Lincoln passed it not as like an open call and need for manumission of black folks, but likely as a political idea, and it only freed slaves in states that were in secession at the time. Okay? So in 1865, the 13th Amendment freed all black folks on paper. Right? That was the federal legislation that technically, theoretically, liberated black folks. But the reality was enforcement was much tougher than signing a piece of paper, than voting on an act. And so on June 19th, 1865, Gordon Granger, Lieutenant General in the U.S. Armed Forces, rolls into Texas. Now, Texas is an interesting, odd, outer realm reality within continental history, right? So I'm going to break this down in another video that'll be much longer, but suffice to say, Texas was kind of the outlands, right? For the Spanish, they didn't care that much about it. In 1821, when it's liberated, the Mexicans kind of care a lot about it, but to the degree that they're willing to farm that out and its development to a cat named Moses Austin. But if we push forward into 1865, you have 250,000 slaves in Texas. 250,000. You have 4 million in the entire country. You got 250,000 in Texas. How they get there? I guess you could call some of it organic migration through slavery. But after 1862, when New Orleans is liberated, slave owners in Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana start stashing their slaves in Texas. They move them into Texas to hide them out from the feds. You know, stay on the outer realm. When Granger gets there, he's got 1,800 troops to liberate 250,000 people. $1,800 troops to liberate 250,000 people. The numbers don't add up. Many slaveholders in Texas were adamant, insistent, and defiant. Take my slaves, try it, right? What's he going to do? But once brothers and sisters found out that we were free, we took off. We ran. You know, we physically saw our manumission going south to Mexico or Mexico, going west to Cali, going east into the Louisiana territories, but not without complete violence on the part of the institution and individuals. So the reality is, from June 19th through the summer of 1865 into the fall, black brothers and sisters was dying left and right, trying to get away from this institution, freed by a federal government who could not enforce their liberty, and seeking escape from the physical brutality that was slavery. So when you talk about Juneteenth and you celebrate Juneteenth, you should reflect on the hundreds, if not thousands, of black folks who lost their lives in Texas during that era, trying to realize a freedom that was announced by that proclamation. A proclamation delivered from an executive, theoretically, who was already dead. So, just my reflections, y'all, for real. I celebrate Juneteenth like most black folks do. But in my head, there's no date yet of black liberation. There's no date of black physical, emotional, mental, psychological emancipation. That day hasn't occurred yet. I hope I'm here when that date does occur. But until then, yeah, I'll hit up Juneteenth, no question. But I'll keep pushing to try to create a different date that has a power that hopefully is more futuristic. Yeah, what America should be. Love y'all.